Hi guys, how you doing? Happy Halloween. I am recording this on the evening of Halloween here in Europe. It's already like 9:30. Although we jumped ahead a little bit before you, so of no consequence. Anyway, this is the astrology for the new moon in Scorpio. And I forgot. So, first of all, tomorrow is Friday, Venus's day. If anyone is looking to manifest a soulmate, and I would be very specific in the language that you use in your petition, because soulmates can be anything, especially with the eighth house. It's like a deep connection, but it can also be someone, you kind of like need to sleep with one eye open. But manifesting a soulmate and a new moon in Scorpio on Venus's day is about as auspicious as it gets. Okay, so now the astrology of this moon is wild. I have to be honest, because if you look at this chart, the first thing your eye is drawn to is that big giant thick red line, which is the Mars-Pluto opposition, right? And Mars and Pluto fighting is never nice. It is a war of the war god. The war gods don't see eye to eye. Let's put it this way: they're on opposite positions, polar differences. At the same time, there's balance, right? So Pluto is there saying, no, we got to break this shit. And Mars is down there saying, no, we got to take care of, we've got to nurture it. Pluto's like, blow it up. Mars says, no, you got to nurture it. That's the only way you can go forward. And they don't see eye to eye on which is the best way to go. Now, on the other side over here, we also have an opposition of Uranus in Taurus in retrograde, opposing this Mercury in Scorpio over here. And this is fixed energy. So an opposition of fixed energy, where he too, Uranus is like, I want to blow things up. And Mercury in Scorpio is like, no, first we have to, like, he's not opposed because Scorpio is obviously the sign ruled by Pluto. He's like, but first we have to understand, we have to strategize. We can't just go out there and start blowing things up. We need a plan. We need a genius plan. And so there's all these tensions that on any other day and in any other chart, I would be like, that's tense energy. But I would also like to call your attention to, so we have this red line here, and then we have this sextile, trine, and a sextile. Now, and then here we have a trine and a trine. This formation is called a kite, okay? And it's pretty, oh God, there's everything in here. I just now saw the triangle or the rectangle also. Okay, so that's so funny. And people never believe this. Like, well, how can you been looking at it? Like, how did you not see that? It's like, it just took shape in my face. Like as I was looking at it. Okay. So it's very rare to have a grand trine. It's very rare to have a kite. It's very rare to have a rectangle, but there's also two kites here. This one is not as perfect because it's off by 3 degrees and this one is precise. But there's essentially two kites, a grand trine, and a rectangle. So there's like, this is a very focused, organized new moon, right? It is not Uranian in nature, like, let's just see what happens. This is very carefully mathematically planned out, which is that Mercury in Scorpio. And if we go through the planets here, I always like to look at who's the dispositor of the chart. So we have all of these planets over here in Scorpio, responding to Pluto, in Capricorn, responding to Saturn, in Pisces, responding to Neptune in Pisces. So that ladders up to him. These points here go to Mars, to the moon, and then back to Neptune. Jupiter in Gemini, responding to Mercury, back to Neptune. The only points, like the only person who, oh no, she is too. And then Venus in Sagittarius, Jupiter to Mercury. So once again, and we had this going on for a long time over the course of the year, where Neptune was the absolute dominant ruler of this. So there's all this kind of tense energy and battle for transformation. What kind of transformation, right? The fact that there is transformation is not up for discussion because we are in the new moon in Scorpio, which is about death and rebirth. And Pluto's about to change signs, and Mars is about to change signs. And all coming up to this Neptune, which is here, who, when we look at the Sabian for the symbol that he's at, it's a fertile new moon. And we've got these kites, right? A kite is incredibly, it's easy energy, right? It's not like a T-square. Things are flowing. It's comprised of sextiles and trines, which are energies that work together harmoniously. So within all these intense energies, because it's heavily Plutonian, that ultimately all of this stuff is working together for good, right? For a nurturing full moon, to bring in a garden, to bring things to life, to grow things, to heal. So ultimately Mars wins this battle here. And it's interesting that he wins the battle because whereas Pluto's like, take down the institutions, and Mars is like, we need to take care of the home. We need to care for the home. Like soon after, in November, Pluto moves into Aquarius and he says, okay, you know what? I'm going to give the power to the people now. And it can come through taking away power so that they are forced to claim it back. I've done a reading. I'll actually post it. I did it for the members. I'll put it up about what Pluto in Aquarius is about. And the last time it happened, there was the French Revolution, right? There were people taking back their power. And I think that's what, for me, the Pluto in Aquarius generation is going to be about taking back power, and also just an incredible development of artificial intelligence, to the point that I think that at the end of Pluto and Aquarius, we won't be able to distinguish what's real and what's not online. And so that's a little concerning, but that's for another day. Right now, everything is talking about transformation, growth, nurtured growth, that any destruction, any loss, any, this is like the ground shaking, and it can be metaphorical or for real, is ultimately creating the space for something new to be born. And that sometimes growth comes through controlled chaos, right? Which is kind of what this is kind of the vibe that I get from this chart, is because it's all over the place. But at the end of the day, the energy is nice, right? That's what's so weird. It's like there's all these really intense energies. It's like focused, determined. But it's not it's not unhelpful, let's put it that way, right? Like sometimes I get really bad vibes off of charts and stuff like that, especially with moons. um I don't. I feel like this one is, like I said, there is a method to the madness, let's put it that way. And that what will come of it will ultimately be empowering and will ultimately put you in a position to either get closer to what it is that you want, or to at least have with incredible clarity exactly what it is that you want, right? Or what you're willing to fight for, what you're willing to nurture, what you're willing to defend, and what you're willing to get rid of. And so that's part of the transformation here. Aries, again, we have 4 degrees left on this transit before the North Node moves into Pisces, and the South Node into Virgo, which will be changing our day to day, like the things, our routines. And so this is really, this whole transit here has been about upending your relationship patterns, and how you show up for you and how you show up in the world. And so if that transformation has not yet taken shape and you're not clear, the number of patterns and aspects that are in this chart here, like, there's the sextile triangle, there's the grand trine, there's the rectangle, there's the kite, like things should start to take shape in where the change has happened, is happening, is gonna happen, right? You should see the pieces suddenly start moving into place. And the Mercury Uranus opposition is frequently also like, oh, like it's an aha moment. It can be a Kundalini awakening, a spiritual awakening. There's some sort of awakening there. I do not like when Mercury and Uranus, well, it's more Mars and Uranus, but I also don't like when Mercury and Uranus are in things. So like, again, watch the electricity, watch the mechanicals. Although they're not in fire signs, but I don't like when planets make aspects with Uranus. The worst, in my opinion, are Mars and Uranus. But just, don't, if I always say in Italy, like Italians are very aggressive drivers, and they just assume that things are always naturally going to work out in their favor, which is of course not the case. So if you're like, oh, I can make that, just don't let the person pass. You're not, nothing's going to happen if you wait 2 minutes for the stop. So, but yeah, to me, I really like the energy off of this. I'm not going to say it's easy energy. It's pretty intense. But the coal needs a lot of pressure to become a diamond. So I'm going to stop this reading here. I'm also going to do the cards. It'll be in a separate video. So keep an eye out for that. And again, remember, if you're interested in calling in a soulmate, and again, be very specific in your petition, because soulmates can be anything. Tomorrow, today, whenever you watch this, Friday, November 1st, is a phenomenal day to do that.